Hey guys, this is Mark with Hawkeye Ordnance. We're doing another 3-gun gear review. Today we're talking about one of my favorite pieces of equipment, the best glass I've ever owned, the Vortex Viper PST 1-4. I've been through quite a few different optics options over the last couple of years, starting with some inexpensive red dots and a Burris, which was actually very good 1-4, and then did a loophole 3-9 for a big match where I thought it would help me with long distance, and really I just kept jacking up the magnification to 6 plus and would get lost in the target field. So I finally broke down and did what I should have done in the first place. And this is one of very few times I'm recommending not buying an entry-level piece and then moving up. This is the MSRP on this is about $600. Right now Cabela's in December 2013 has it for $500, and with an Amazon search I found it for low as $479. And so yeah, it's a couple $100 more than than the really entry-level stuff, but if you add up the cost of all the optics I purchased before doing this, it's well over the $500, and this is worth every dollar. It's all made out of machined aircraft aluminum, and the glass is incredibly clear and incredibly bright. So going through some of the basic functions of this, you've got, we'll start from left to right here, you've got your tube, which is 30 millimeters with a 24 millimeter interior diameter. This particular version is done in MOA on the reticle, but they also make an MRAD version. And if you do the MOA version, you can get both the capped and the uncapped. The uncapped version gives you very, very positive windage and elevation and zero stops in there. So I typically get the thing zeroed in and pretty well leave it, but I have my stops in place in case I wanted to do a little adjustment. Not a whole lot with windage, but I've definitely run the elevation a couple times to give myself a little better chance if it's going to start out like 200 meters plus. So I have this rifle scope zeroed for 25-100, with it being a couple inches low at 25. So and then you've got, of course, the lever, the throw here for your different settings. I've got a very inexpensive $13 throw you can get at Shooter's Choice. I'll put that up on the up in the about section. And then you've got your there's a 20 position illumination dial, which again is very positive. All of these dials can be run with gloves, which is really nice. And then there's a simple, basic lightweight focus right here, fine focus for dialing it in. So before we go any further, I just want to give you a bit of my experience with this. The website for Vortex says that this is waterproof, shockproof, and fogproof. And so far my experience here in Minnesota, and we run these things in everything from 10 degrees to 100 degrees, raining, snowing, dusty, sandy, funky, all day long, and I've yet to have this fog up. I've certainly had no bleeding of water into the into the interiors of this whatsoever, and this gun has been dumped into a barrel on several occasions, and it's just never caused me a problem in the least, and it's never lost its zero. This has been a very, very tough, very durable, really, really well-made piece of equipment. As we mentioned, it comes in both an MRAD and an MOA configuration for the reticle, and I went with the MOA. For one thing, it was easier to get. The only thing you should know about the MRAD version is that you have to get it with the turrets on it. The MOA comes in both with the turrets or with the caps on them. Part of me says it would have been good to get the caps because it would have given you a little lower profile, but once I got the throw on there and everything, I don't think that really saved me anything whatsoever. Alright, now we're going to switch to a little different setup here so we can show off the illuminated reticle and how that looks. Alright guys, so we've set up a little demonstration here of the reticle indoors. It's still like ass cold out here in Minnesota, but basically what we're doing is I've set up a bright yellow target down across the room here so we can show off the reticle. So we'll go ahead and we'll get down on the gun here at 1 power, and starting with this little the fine focus right here, I will usually sort of focus in on the reticle itself, because that's not going to change regardless, at any power. It's going to stay the same size. So if I'm shooting long distance, then I might clear it up just a little bit, especially if everything's sort of at the same distance for the targets downrange. But generally speaking, I'll just get a nice focus on the reticle. And then The next thing that we're going to want to do is decide what range we're shooting at, and so I've got my scope throw on here, which again you can purchase through Shooter's Source, and I'll have that down in the notes. But I will then kind of decide 1, 2 is just about straight up the way I'm set up, 3 power is just about here, and then all the way up to 4 power. And at this distance, the entire target is engulfed at 4 power. So we'll roll that back down. Let's just say to 1, so you get a nice clean image, and then we're going to talk about the illumination. So right now it's set at off, and then we'll turn it once and it turns on. And basically what you're looking at right now is the full power. And every other click turns off, followed by the next power level lower, until you get down to these next 2 or 3, which you can't see. I am turning it. The bottom 5 are set up, so the lowest setting is for night vision, which I use tons of, believe me. I'm just constantly using my night vision goggles. And then the other 3 are for low light. So they do work. You have to basically get it dark enough that your eyes adjust, and then you can start to see that the illumination painted on the reticle. But let's crank it all the way back up here to 10 so you can take a look at it. And it just gives you a nice clean dot in the center, which is small enough. I don't know what the MOA is off the top of my head, but I'll tell you it's precise enough to use. I've had some, like the Burris, which is a really good, inexpensive optic, but what I found with that was it was such a busy reticle, I couldn't actually see what was going on downrange. I was guessing just a little bit, but this is nice and fine. So if you take your time and you breathe, you'll see it, and you'll be able to pinpoint what you're looking for. The outer circle is awesome for hosing. You crank it up and you run, and wherever that thing is, I mean, this is not about precision as much as it is about getting 2 on target and 3 guns. So I just open up both eyes, looking through the reticle, and just start hosing. So you will notice, though, that if you get off sight just a little bit, you will start to see that tube come in, and then at some point the reticle shifts just a little bit. And I'm going to try to show that off in the camera, but it's pretty forgiving. I mean, you can get off at quite a ways, especially at close range, and still put 2 on target, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's not uncommon with lots of optics. It just always shocks me that that worked. So if there was one complaint about this reticle, it's that I'm pushing 40 at this point, and my eyes are still pretty good. But if you look at those lines in there and the hash marks for the different MOA, they're pretty thin and they're pretty light. So I could see that being a problem for me down the road if I needed to wear glasses. I need to admit that I need glasses for this optic as opposed to doing what I do with my hearing, which is pretend like it's not a problem. Huh? So my final thought on the Vortex Viper is pretty simple. It is absolutely worth every dollar. At $500, it can compete with just about any optic in the 1,000+ range, including its big brother, the Razor. The big step up there is it goes from 1 to 6, which gives you a little bit more magnification for some of those really long shots, but you're looking at a minimum of $1,200 to get into that scope. And there are some other ones out there that are well north of that. So incredibly good value, incredibly tough, very easy to operate. Again, the only con, which we discussed a bit when we were looking at the reticle, was that the lines, the hash marks are very thin, and right now I'm blessed with good eyesight, but I could see down the road that getting a little difficult to see. There are very few times, as we said earlier, that we recommend spending the money on sort of the professional gear, and this is absolutely one of them. This is the best $500 you're going to spend on optics, and I don't think you will be unhappy with this purchase at any point. I hope this helps, guys, and wish you all the best. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, we'd appreciate you doing that. You can do that right over here or down here. And we have a Facebook page, Hawkeye Ordnance, and our website, hawkeyeordnance.com.